What a night for NXT and WWE as a whole. Um, Welcome. This is something very different for me. Never done a WWE thoughts video or review or anything like that. But wrestling recently, within the last year, has gotten so good that I've checked back in. And it's been a long time. It's been a long time, almost a decade since I was checked in to wrestling as much as I have been since WrestleMania 40, and I've been keeping up with all three shows. NXT is the what I'm newest to. I did not watch Black and Gold or 2.0. I was never really an NXT fan, but seeing what Shawn Michaels has done here, I really like it, and it just might be my favorite out of the three shows. Out between Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, I think NXT just might be my favorite. There are some things I still find wonky about it. Some of the gimmicks I just can't stand. But that's with any wrestling promotion, right? But I wanted to talk about New Year's Evil NXT because this really did feel like a new era is starting. Okay, for NXT, we had title changes. The Rock showed up. This was one hell of an episode. If you would have told me 5 years ago that The Rock was going to show up on an episode of NXT, I think everyone would have said, "Hell no, that's not happening." No one cared about NXT 5 years ago the way that they do now. It's been such a game changer with Shawn Michaels and Triple H in charge, and I think it can't be understated how good of a booker Shawn Michaels is. You know, we always tend to give Triple H Booker of the Year now, from what I'm hearing. Even though I've just been catching up for 1 year, Triple H has been in charge for about the last two, or basically 1.5, really. So he's been getting called Booker of the Year, and they love to say, "Let Papa H cook." Let Shawn Michaels cook, because the card that we had, and I want to go match by match here. The card that we had last night was a PLE level card, and I know New Year's Evil is on a PLE level, but it's technically not considered one. It's right on the CW. It's just considered a normal episode of NXT, just with a little special presentation to it. So the fact that they booked it like a PLE, it just goes to show that this really was generational, era-defining moment, especially with The Rock coming in. But let's start with Julia and Roxanne Perez. A very good match. I mean, these two had a solid showcase back when they first came to the CW in October, when they had their first one-on-one. So we knew that these two had chemistry, and that continued to tonight. The match was a bit on the shorter end, at least for me. I expected it to go a little bit longer, but Julia's presentation, the aura, the finisher, everything about her, you knew as soon as she joined the company, everybody knew she was going to get that belt eventually. I thought she was going to get it as soon as they switched over to the CW, because they kept calling it a new era. They brought in the new belts, and I thought, okay, well, if this is the new era, then let's bring it in. Let's get the two title changes, like kind of how they had tonight. Trick Williams won back then, won the belt back from Ethan Page, and now Julia has won the belt off of Roxanne Perez. A long time coming. Roxanne has had that belt for over 260 days. The run, a lot of people say that her run has been great. I haven't been here for it the entire time. I can't really say. I will say that these last few months of the run, I haven't enjoyed at all, to be quite honest with you. So the months prior to that, I can't speak on, because I wasn't watching NXT on a consistent basis. But I do think that Roxanne Perez is ready to be called up, just from what I've heard, from what I've seen since I started watching after Mania. And I know that the last few months has kind of just been waiting on Julia to get the belt, and maybe that's why her run became stagnant. But my God, these two, they put on a banger. Julia, the beautiful madness, is here. It's her time now. So I hope that she gets a great run booked by Shawn Michaels. I think she will. I don't think they're going to fumble this. I know back in the day, Asuka had over a 360-day run with the NXT belt. I think we could do something like that with Julia. I know we got some heavy hitters in NXT's women's division. It is the best women's division in all the brands, in all promotions. AEW ain't looking like this women's division. SmackDown, Raw, TNA, none of them compare to the NXT women's division. So, love Julia. Like I said, everything about her is perfect, from the look to the theme music. Somebody called her an Elden Ring boss. I completely agree. She is the boss, and it is now Julia's era. The next match on the card was the Fatal 4-Way between Kalani Jordan, Cora Jade, Stephanie Vaquer, and Lola Vice. This was a decent match. Nothing special about it, really. Who we thought would win did win. Stephanie Vaquer pulled out the win on this one. I know a lot of people anticipated that she was going to go for the NXT women's title first, but I do kind of like how they're having her go for the North American title, because right now they don't want her running into Julia too soon. You want to save that maybe for NXT Stand and Deliver. That is supposed to be their sort of WrestleMania. So I was thinking maybe they would have Cora Jade win this match, but Stephanie Vaquer is the name that they brought in. She is the name that they're building up more than Cora Jade. Cora Jade has been there a while. She hasn't really worked out in the way that Stephanie Vaquer has already exploded onto the scene. So in Lola Vice, I never anticipated her winning. She hasn't worked out the way that they anticipated. Kalani Jordan just held the belt for a decent amount of time. She just put that belt on the map because it was a brand new belt before she got it. So she definitely wasn't winning. Stephanie Vaquer was the logical choice. Keep her away from Julia for now. Definitely have her go her own way. And then maybe about a month before Stand and Deliver, have her challenge for that for the belt and have her be the number one contender. That way at Stand and Deliver, it could be Stephanie Vaquer versus Julia. And I think that you don't change the belt then either. I would say keep that belt on Julia at bare minimum of 6 months. I want to see a year-long reign with Julia, but only if it's booked right, of course. Only if it's booked right. I want to see a year-long reign with Julia. But at the end of the day, Stephanie Vaquer is who's going to get that push, and she deserves it. Her presentation is amazing as well. Her in-ring work is magnifique. I love everything about Stephanie Vaquer. Like I said, this women's division, any four of these women could have won. Well, maybe not Lola Vice, but any four of these women could have won, and it would have made sense. But Stephanie Vaquer was definitely the right choice. I don't really like what's happening next, and we'll get to that when I get to that match, which was the next match of Fatal Influence versus Shotzi, Tatum Paxley, and Gigi Dolan. Now, since I've only been watching NXT for the short amount of time that I have, Gigi Dolan and Shotzi are just now returning from injury. So I don't have any familiarity with them. I'm not really fond of what I'm seeing so far. So I don't care for them. They did. Dolan, Shotzi, and Paxley did win the match. I don't know what we're doing with Fatal Influence. Like, they're supposed to be these good heels of the women's division. They put the belt on Fallon Henley, the North American belt, and they constantly get bodied every time we turn around. The only match that I remember watching that they've won is the one where Fallon Henley won the championship off of Kalani Jordan. They don't win enough matches for me, even though they have someone like JC Jane, who I think is fucking good enough to put the belt on her, the North American Championship on her. That's who I thought they was going to put it on in the first place. To me, she's the quintessential leader of that group. She's the one who stands out the most, but that's not who they put the belt on. And now they had Shotzi pin the North American champion in Fallon Henley, which gives her a cause to challenge for the belt, and they go backstage and she confronts Ava and Stephanie Vaquer. I don't like this. Stephanie Vaquer won the number one contender. It was the number one contenders match. I don't care who you pinned. That was bad to me. That was a bad decision. Now, next week, we have to have a match with Stephanie Vaquer and Shotzi. Shotzi hasn't looked good since her return. I don't know what she looked like before. Again, I haven't been watching that long, but from what I've seen since she's come back, I don't like it. Her in-ring work has not been that good, especially not compared to Stephanie Becker. So the decision of the match is whatever to me. The booking after the match, just because Shotzi pinned her, and Stephanie Becker winning a number one contenders match, that was bad. That was real bad to me. That was awful. Didn't like that at all. So, whatever. Charlie Dempsey and Lexis King, to me, it was another okay match. Again, these two guys, from the short amount of time that I've been watching, I don't care for either of them. Lexis King got the win. It is nice to see somebody else hold the trophy. Don't really understand the trophy. I just need to watch more NXT to really understand why this is there in the first place. But good on Lexis King. I like his story a bit. The Rock and Ethan Page had a little segment backstage, basically saying, Rock's like, I'm the final boss, but when she's here, she's the final boss. Don't F with my daughter type stuff. And that was a nice moment, a little heartfelt moment between father and daughter. I thought that was nice. Him smacking Ethan Page on the ass was pretty funny as well. But the next match, the match of the night, that's debated because Julie and Roxanne had a good night. But Trick Williams versus Obafemi and Eddie Thorpe. Earlier, Eddie Thorpe was taken out, quotes, by Obafemi, so he wasn't there for 95% of the match, which was a good thing because I felt that this should have been a one-on-one anyway. Them throwing Eddie Thorpe in there at the last minute was, I don't know if they just kind of pitied the guy because he never had anything to do, and they said, here, we'll give you something to do. We'll barely put you in this main event match. I never liked it to begin with, but Obafemi and Trick Williams had good chemistry in there. They showed why they are the two top dogs on NXT, and I love to see it. I love to see these two guys, two black men being at the top of NXT. It's just amazing to see as one myself. But Obafemi, the ruler, who got the win. Picked up the W after Eddie Thorpe tried to come in late with the chair. Eddie Thorpe got his ass rocked, got his ass whipped, and Obafemi is your new NXT champion. Trick Williams, I feel bad for Trick because he's being built up as the guy, but they keep giving him these short 60-day reigns. I know this one was a 98-day reign. Still kind of short in this era. It's fine. We don't always need long reigns. You don't always need a long reign to be considered the guy. Ethan Page's reign wasn't that long. So that's fine. But Obafemi, he better get a long reign. He better hold this belt the exact same long as I want Julia to hold this belt. 365 days, Oba better hold this belt. Because ain't nobody in NXT taking this from Oba. He had to slip on a banana peel in a Tony D'Angelo match in order to lose the North American belt. And I never felt Tony D'Angelo was deserving of that, but people have their opinions. And now he's the NXT champ. He better not slip on another banana peel. As a matter of fact, I don't want him to lose a single match. I want him to have a Brock Lesnar-esque run, okay? If anybody's going to be the next Brock Lesnar in the WWE, it needs to be Obafemi. I don't want it to be Braun Breaker. I don't want it to be anybody else. Definitely not somebody like Ridge Holland, who I thought for a second they were trying to do. But Obafemi is that guy. He is that dog. He got the match. The shot of him and Julia afterwards. I know some people say that should have closed the show, but we'll get into that in a moment. Beautiful shot on this new era in NXT. This is such a wonderful way to start the new year. Wonderful way to kick off NXT and these new champions. And the booking around these two, it's going to be hard to mess up, but it can be messed up, as we know, with the WWE. So, wonderful. Big congrats to the boy Obafemi. Big congrats to Julia. The end of the show with a Rock promo that's been slightly controversial. Not as controversial as his Raw promo. And I think that's because he kind of made fun of the people who was talking shit about his Raw promo. Basically told you, hey, Last year, you said I was too mean to Cody. Now I'm too nice to Cody. And I know people want to defend themselves saying, oh, you just want storylines to progress. I understand. But The Rock's not in a storyline right now. He's just not. He's probably not doing Mania. So right now, he's just Rock. He's just TKO board member Rock. He's coming out celebrating everything. And it was nice for him to give the rub to the NXT guys in the locker room. He's never been on NXT. For him to show up and give the rub, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So I understand wanting to end the show with Obafemi and Julia. That would be deserved. They are the new generation. But when you have The Rock, you end the show with The Rock 90 times out of 10. They didn't end the show with The Rock on Raw yesterday. So I hope you all are happy about that. But this was something that I felt needed to be done. Or at least they felt needed to be done. I could care less either way, whether you end on the match and the two new champions and you cut to black after them, or if you cut to black after The Rock like they did. Could his speech been a little bit better? I mean, of course, but for what it was entertaining. He had the crowd behind him, and he gave the rub to NXT and the guys in the locker room, so that was a great thing to do. Great show. I would give this show, if I had to grade this show, an A. I give it A+, actually. There was only, A+. Yep, A+. I'm not going to let what happened with Shotzi diminish the show that much. Did I like the fact that she gets to challenge Stephanie back there? No, but it's not enough to diminish the show. It was a great show. My eyes were on the TV glued the whole time. So NXT New Year's Evil, this is probably the best New Year's Evil they've done. And it's hard for me to say that because, again, I'm a brand new guy coming into NXT like this. So, but I don't see how they could have done better in previous years than what they've done tonight. So let me know your thoughts on New Year's Evil. This was great. I don't know if I'm going to keep posting NXT thoughts and reviews. It really depends on what my schedule looks like. I got a full-time job. I'm also a writer. So every now and then I'll probably pipe in with some WWE thoughts. But let me know your thoughts down below. And until next time, peace out.